Welcome back to Success with Steven. My name is Steven Smith. On this channel, we discuss all things financial literacy. Today, we're going to be talking about something that I don't believe gets nearly enough attention, and that's going to be the Navy Federal business account. A lot of people know Navy Federal for their personal checking accounts, the credit cards, the auto loans, and all the other consumer products that get discussed in great detail. But in the past, I made a video about the Navy Federal Go Biz Rewards card, and I broke down the application process. I showed you some approval strategies and some general setup all in one comprehensive guide. But today I wanted to update a separate video specifically focused on Navy Federal business accounts themselves. We'll cover the accounts, what they offer, and revisit the steps once again so you can actually open up this account successfully. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Now, let's begin by covering the business accounts that Navy Federal offers. A majority of this information can be found online, and I'll put a link in the description so you can actually click on it and go straight to the website. We'll also be going there in this video. However, you do need to create the account over the phone with a Navy Federal representative, so it is good to review this information before you get on the phone with them. There will be 3 business checking accounts that you can choose from. The first option is the standard business checking account. This is the most basic option. It's generally designed for smaller businesses that have simpler needs. This account doesn't charge a monthly service fee, which makes it attractive for a business that wants to keep the cost low. The account allows up to 2 signers and includes the first 30 non-electronic transactions each month completely free. Then it's going to be a 25-cent fee for each additional non-electronic transaction after that. It also earns 0.01% APY, giving business owners a very small return while still keeping their funds in this account. Now, overall, this account is best suited for smaller businesses that want a straightforward, low-cost banking option with very basic features. The next option is the Business Plus checking account. Now, this option is more appropriate for slightly larger businesses. The APY at the time of recording this video is 0.01%. So again, the appeal here is not the earnings. The appeal is the expanded functionality. You get higher non-electronic transaction limits. The first 50 non-electronic transactions are included, and then it's 25 cents per transaction thereafter. You also get unlimited signers, which can matter a lot for business owners that have multiple people who need to access this account. That flexibility is useful. However, the account does come with a monthly maintenance fee of $8. That isn't outrageous, but it is something that you need to factor in. Now, if your business is active enough to justify the account, then $8 shouldn't make or break you. But if you're just getting started and trying to keep everything as lean as possible, it's worth considering whether you're actually going to need this level of account yet. Then we have the Business Premium checking account. Now, this is the one that I personally think stands out the most if you're serious about building a stronger relationship with Navy Federal on the business side. This account is built for more established businesses that handle a higher volume of transactions, maintain larger deposit balances, and may have multiple owners. It offers more flexibility than the basic business checking account and the Plus option. It also allows unlimited signers, but it also includes 100 non-electronic transactions that are free each month. Then it'll be 25 cents for each additional non-electronic transaction thereafter. The account also has a monthly service fee of either $0 or $20. It depends on whether the balance requirements are met. Now, another major benefit is that this earns tiered APY based on your balance, allowing businesses to earn 0.35% APY, and that's going to be on balances from $1,500 to $9,999. You can earn 0.40 APY on balances from $10,000 to $24,999 and 0.45% APY on balances of $25,000 or more. Overall, this account is best for mature businesses that want a more robust checking account with higher transaction capacity, more account access, and better earning potential on deposited funds. This is also the account that I currently have open with Navy Federal. And if you're someone who's not just looking for a place to park a little money, but you're actually thinking about other business products with Navy Federal, then this is the account I would pay close attention to. Next, let's talk about the savings accounts. Navy Federal offers business saving options, including a money market savings account, a jumbo money market savings account, and you could also look at certificates. Whether you need one of these depends entirely on how much money you plan to keep at Navy Federal and what your broader goals are. The standard money market savings account may make sense if you want an additional account within the business relationship and you want to keep enough cash there to qualify for dividends. The minimum balance to earn dividends is $2,500. That's not a crazy number for a business to maintain depending on your stage, and there are no term restrictions, which does give you flexibility. If your goal is simply to keep some reserve funds within the Navy Federal business ecosystem and earn a little bit of something while you do that, then this can make sense. That said, let's be honest, if you have a large amount of cash and your main concern is maximizing yield, then this is probably not where you want to keep your money. There are other places where your money may work harder for you. So for me, the money market savings account is not something that I look at as a wealth building tool. I just look at it as a relationship and conventional tool. So in my case, I do have the regular money market savings account, not the jumbo version. The jumbo money market savings account is for businesses that can maintain much larger balances within the threshold, and that's sitting somewhere around $100,000 for jumbo dividend rates. If you're at that level, you need to think carefully about what role this account is serving. If the only reason you're keeping that much money in there is because you want to strengthen your relationship for a period of time, then that may be one thing. But if you're parking six figures there long term without comparing alternatives, then you have to rethink that strategy. That's not a good idea. Now, when you're relationship building for business funding, I do think you should always have a checking and savings account. So again, I would recommend the money market savings if I had to pick one. Now, when it comes to certificates, really, it's the same on the personal side. I have an entire video that I just did updating them, so I'm going to link that right here if you want to watch that and learn about these certificates in more detail. Now, let's get into the setup process of this account. For me personally, a few years back when I did this, it was kind of confusing, so I do want to clarify things for people watching this video now. To open this business account, you need to already be a Navy Federal member. You need to have a personal relationship. You can't skip that process and jump straight into business banking with them. You do have to open your personal account first. Once that's in place, you can move towards the business membership process. Navy Federal does have a business application that you can start, but the final steps will require you to have to call or visit a branch to complete the setup. Now, the documentation that you need depends on your business type. If you're a sole proprietor, the documentation is different from what an LLC or a corporation might need. Now, for a sole proprietor, you may need your business license, your tax identification number, if applicable, and potentially a fictitious name certificate or a certificate of assumed name, depending on how you operate. I'll go to the website and we'll take a look at this to make sure that that hasn't changed, but I believe that's all you need for a sole proprietorship. Now, if you're dealing with an LLC or corporation, you're usually going to need your EIN, your business formation documentation, like your articles of incorporation, your business license, and proof that the business is active and in good standing. And that's also one thing that was kind of confusing for me. For me, I live in Nevada. The certificate of good standing is literally going to the Secretary of State, and you can actually screenshot the status of your business. It should show active. There's also an option for, again, me in the state of Nevada, where you can pay for that for $50, but I found out you don't need to do that. Just go there, screenshot that, and you can upload that to the required documentation. But again, in practical terms, because this may vary by state, what they really want to know is whether or not you have an active business that is valid in your state. And like I said before, in many cases, you can go to your Secretary of State website, search your business, see the active status there, take a screenshot, and that will serve as your documentation. So before you even get started with this process, you want to make sure that you have all of these documents, and you may need to have beneficial owner information depending on your entity type, like, if this is a multi-member LLC or something of that nature. But if you're a sole owner, then this is pretty straightforward. Unless you have multiple owners, then it can get a little complicated. So we'll go into a couple more details before we actually go through the process of the application. Currently, we are on the Navy Federal website, and I'm going to put this link in the description. This just goes straight to the business part of Navy Federal, but you can also go to NavyFederal.org, look at the very top, look for business, click on that, it'll bring you here. Now, if we scroll down here, we're going to go to the how to apply and just review the steps to make sure that nothing was missed. Now, the first thing that you want to do is gather information before you start your business membership application. You want to make sure that all owners have a Navy Federal membership account. So that means that if you have multiple owners on a business, all of you need to be members of Navy Federal, and you have to be a member with an account in good standing. And then you want to gather all the required documentation, and then we're going to go over that list as well. We'll come back here. Number 2 is to complete a new business membership application. So to start the application, you have to sign in with your personal Navy Federal credentials. That's how you access the business membership application. And then you have to complete all sections by following the instructions provided throughout the process. We will go over that in this video. If you need to save and come back later because you're unable to complete the application, you can do so and resume where you left off. You do have to sign in within 5 business days using your personal Navy Federal credentials, and that's going to be under the to-do list section. Again, we're going to cover that, and then you can click on the incomplete application link, click continue, and then you'll be able to pick up where you left off. Now for number 3, you have to upload required documents. You can check your to-do list. You sign into your personal Navy Federal credentials. Any outstanding documents, they will need to be uploaded. And then you want to call. You want to call at 1-877-418-1462. You have to do that within 2 business days after you upload your documents. So like if you're in a hurry or you don't think that you can actually do this right away, you might want to consider like waiting before starting the application. Worst case, you have to start over, but again, you will need to call within 2 days. Now, one thing that is true here, you need to be mindful that this process can take up to an hour because the representative will ask you some questions. I talked about this in the previous video, but depending on your NAICS code or your NAICS code, they can deny this account if your business is restricted. There's like a list of things that you can take a look at. I have an entire video on NAICS codes. I can link that right here, but it's the businesses that you would think are the ones that, might get rejected. Like if it's gambling, if it has to do with crypto, if it has to do with real estate, some sort of like adult entertainment, those things will most likely get your account denied. And the person on the phone will ask you about your business. They may ask you if you have a website. They're going to review that information. It's not a big deal, trust me. They're just reviewing to understand what your business does. Now, you need to be prepared to fund your business membership. And depending on your type, it can be $250 to $255. And that amount should be available for transfer from your personal Navy Federal account or through a non-Navy Federal debit card or even credit card. Now, let's just go into a little more detail about the documentation that's required. So again, there will be that deposit for $250 for sole proprietorships, $255 for all other legal entities, and the documentation that you're going to need for a sole prop will be your federal tax ID number. So it looks like if you are a sole proprietor, you still might need a federal tax ID. Then you'll also need a valid business license or business permit or a fictitious name certificate or a certificate of assumed name. All these things are very, very easy to get. I have plenty of videos that show you how to set up your business. Even as a sole proprietor, I would refer back to those videos. Now, for a general partnership, you need your federal tax ID, your beneficial owner information. So that will be all the representatives. Again, all of you have to be a member of Navy Federal in order to open this account, and a valid business license or business permit. If you have a limited partnership, then you're going to need a good standing certificate. Now, this one says it has to be filed and stamped within 60 days before the date of application. You'll need a federal tax ID, your beneficial ownership form, and your fictitious name certificate. Now, with corporations, you need a good standing certificate. Again, for me personally, I did this. I just went to my Secretary of State website. I screenshot it, and that was good enough. They also do sell the certificate of good standing, but I didn't want to have to pay $50 or whatever the case may be for your state. So that's what I did. If it's not acceptable, then you can actually find out with the person on the phone, but I think that should be good enough. Federal tax ID number, your beneficial owner form. Again, if it's just you, this won't be needed. And then your fictitious name. Now, for the fictitious name, I know you guys keep seeing that. If you have an incorporated business, you probably don't need that. If you don't have a fictitious name, then that's okay. They'll just have your business license with the business name. And then for LLCs, you need to have a good standing certificate, a federal tax ID, the beneficial owner form if it's more than one, and fictitious name, once again, it's going to be on your license, whatever your business name is. Now, one thing that I do want to mention, they will ask you for your NACE code. That's going to be the code that you use to do your business. The person on the phone, they will ask you for that. I highly recommend that you already have it prepared, written down, or you already know what you're going to be using before you actually make the phone call. Now, when you're ready to actually submit your application online to get the process started, because again, you will have to call as well, you can go to Let's Get Started. And then when you go to Let's Get Started, you can click on Start the Application. That's going to be on number 2. Then you'll be taken to the sign-in portal for your personal Navy Federal account. That will allow you to get to the business application. Now, this is what the business application will look like. You're going to see business membership application, and then we're going to fill out all of these details. They'll want to know your legal business name, your form of business, which again can be a corporation, general partnership, sole proprietor, limited liability. As you can see, they have almost every option here, except I don't see a nonprofit. Okay, so I'm not sure if nonprofits are actually available, but let's go with corporation. You'll need your business tax identification number. You'll need your taxpayer identification number, which is going to be your EIN number, right? And then you'll also need how many employees that you have. Is this business a franchise? Which for most of us, it probably won't be. Were you established in the US? Which yes, you should be. Your state of business organization. And of course, you can just put whatever state that your business was incorporated in. Then you'll want to enter your business phone number, your business email address. Is the business designated as a veteran-owned or veteran-owned service? You can put that if you would like. Is the business a nonprofit? The answer is going to be no. And that's a good question. I want to see, it looks like maybe you can have a nonprofit, but I didn't see that at the top. Maybe that's actually a possibility, but I'm going to put no here. You'll need the physical address. You'll also need the zip code. You'll also want to put the mailing address. And I've done this personally where I've used a virtual address. Not sure if that's changed, but I gave it to the person on the phone as well. I used that, but we did use my personal address for the mailing. And then there'll be an option to view and accept that by providing your mobile number. You're granting Navy Federal permission to place automated, pre-recorded, or artificial voice and non-marketing calls and text messages to that number. Now, the next part of the application will be your business details. Now, you can put what is the nature of your business. I'm just going to put something, made up for this, but say, like they said, sell goods and services. I'm just going to put something very, very simple. And then please select the industry that best describes your business. You'll want to pick whichever one is best related. For this one, I'll put professional, scientific, and technical services. Please select the sector. I'm going to say, let's do other professional technical services. And for your NACE code, whatever NACE code that actually comes up probably will be like general for what you're doing. I would select that. That should apply. And then you'll want to enter your estimated annual sales. Now, if you're starting a new business, you can put the projection of what you think that your sales can be. All right. For example, I'm just going to put 50,000. Now, is your business any of the following? Now, if it's any of these, more than likely they'll deny your application because these are things that I know they don't actually want you to operate in, like casinos or securities, insurance, loans, credit card systems, precious metals, like all of that. If it's any of these, again, more than likely, they will deny you. So I would say none of the above. Now, does your business provide any of the following services? Once again, if you do, they'll deny your application. So I would say none of the above. And then your business primary trade areas. I mean, it really depends on what you're doing, but for most of us, it's going to be domestic and US. Now, then it's going to ask for your purpose, type of transactions for which your Navy Federal business account will be used for. So you can use this for again, escrow management, operating general purposes, savings and investments. For most of us, operating in general purposes. Now, does this business own or operate an ATM? Probably not. Is the business or organization affiliated with any politically exposed person? Obviously, it probably won't be for most of us. Does the business depend in or whole part in on charitable donations? No. Does the business act as an intermediary between your clients and the union performing services? I would say no. Does this business receive profits from online gambling sites? Obviously, if you did that, it's a huge red flag. Does the business offer courier or armored car services? I would say no. Does your business have a website? For this, I would say yes if you do have a website. Honestly, the person who you're going to talk to on the phone, they will ask you this. They'll probably review your website, and more than likely, they're going to ask, how does this actually make you money? They're going to want to know, how does this website work, where you actually get clients, you operate, you run this business. If you have a brand new business, you could tell them, hey, I'm just getting started. This is my website. I set it up. I'm planning on like using Google Ads, reviews, promote through social media, like whatever the case may be, just let them know. Or if you are making money, just tell them exactly how you're doing that with the website. Now, they also want you to provide a list of countries, or for any of them that you expect to have outgoing or incoming international activity. Now, if you don't, then you don't have to have anything. I have the United States, and then, that's going to be it. Does the business conduct business internationally? Again, for most of us, the answer will most likely be no. Does your business sell, manufacture, or provide logistical support for weapons, arms? Again, unless you're Tony Stark, I doubt that you're doing that. Then you want to check that you understand and you affirm that you will not use the account with Navy Federal Credit Union to receive or send any transactions, nor do business involving or indirectly involving any of the individual entities, parties, or jurisdictions, including but not limited to. And then a lot of this just has to do with a lot of foreign entities, because there are some economic sanctions, and those sanctions would prevent you from doing business with these countries. That's a totally different thing, but let's go ahead and just click on next. All right, next they will ask you for the number of membership savings accounts. You can only pick one or none, so I would just pick one. If you want the number of money market accounts here, then you can pick multiple of these. I would just, of course, again, select one. Number of regular savings accounts, you can pick one. Then there's basic checking, plus checking, the premium, whichever one that you prefer. I'm just going to pick one here. And then please describe the origin of the business funds or capital. And you can say sales that I made from my business. Something very simple. Cash deposit, the monthly average that you expect, whatever you expect. The withdrawals that you expect. Let's just say, something small, 0 to 1,000. Wires, I would just say, 0 to 1,000 if you don't really expect to be doing them. Same thing here. If you also have check deposits, then you can put the amount that you expect. Again, if it's going to be like none, then I would pick the lowest amount here. And your point of sale purchase. Again, if you are doing like things at a terminal, like in person, you have a storefront, then you can put the amount that you expect to actually have. If not, then 0 to 1,000 is fine. And then you'll check, I understand that the minimum funding requirement for this account is $250, regardless of the type or number of accounts that are selected, and the sole proprietor must open at minimum a savings account, and all legal entities must open a minimum membership savings account from $5 to $250, and then you have to have $255 if you have a corporation or any other business type, and you understand that funding will be required at the time that you call Navy Federal to complete this application. And then I did have a little problem here when I was actually trying to go through, and it looks like you just have to make sure that you may have to check one of the membership savings or the savings account. Not sure which one that I had to select in order to actually move past this point, but once you can, this will be blue, dark blue on next, and then you can continue with the application. Then you'll be asked owner and entity information, like are you or any person a Navy Federal employee? That answer is most likely no. Number of owners, if it's just you, then it's just one. Are you or any other owners a Navy Federal official? Probably not. Are you a veteran? If you are, then you can pick yes. What military branch are you affiliated with? If you want to, then you can go ahead and pick that as well. You can then add your rank. Do you or any other owners have a connection to a Navy Federal official? More than likely, the answer will be no. Your business title, you can just pick owner. That's normally the title for most people that are starting a business as an LLC, sole proprietor, even corporation. Usually it's just owner. And then what is your percentage? Again, if it's just you, 100%. And then it's going to ask you for your type of government issued ID. You can use your state driver's license. You'll then want to enter your driver's license number. You can also enter your state here. And then you'll want to enter your entity ownership information. Is the applicant business owned in whole or in part by another legal entity, which would be no for most of us. If it is, then again, you have to add more information, but I'm going to select no. Now, for the number of authorized signers, once again, if it's just you, then you're going to select 1, and then you're going to enter your information. So just like before, you would just enter your first name, your last name, all of your personal information, your driver's license or government ID number, your state, the expiration date, and if you are a current member, which you actually should be, and they will ask for your member access number, okay? You need all of that information. Now, I'm gonna stop right here because this is pretty much the end of the application. From there, you have to review and submit. Now, once you click on the next steps, there will be a to-do list, and I'm going to try to see if I can pull that up for you here. All right, now I couldn't actually pull it up unless I can play the application, but it would be a to-do list right here, which you would actually be taken to. From there, it would ask you to upload the documents that we spoke about. That'll be like your business license, your fictitious name information, probably your articles of incorporation, a screenshot of that certificate of good standing. Now, once you have uploaded all of this information, once that's all done, then you'll go back to that Navy Federal homepage. You will call that number. You will speak to a representative. It will take at least 1 hour. And once again, they will just review all the details. They will go through all the information basically on the application and just assure that everything is correct. Once that is done, they will fund the account for you. And again, keep in mind the NACE codes, your business type, the restrictions, be able to answer a few of the questions that we went over in this video. Then they will open the account for you. You should have access within around 24 hours, if not the same day, where you'll be able to create your online profile. You will eventually get a GoBiz debit card for your account. That will come in the mail. And then you can also come back to this same part if you want to apply for the GoBiz Rewards Business Credit Card. I'm going to put a link right here for that. Now, for that GoBiz Rewards card, I highly recommend if you're going to apply, watch that video. It's not a TransUnion pool. It is an Experian credit pool in order for you to get approved. And there are some more details that, if you want them, they're definitely going to be covered in that video. All right. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. If there's anything that you think that I missed in this process in order to get approved for a business account, please drop that in the comments below. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions for you, anything that I can answer. But I do think that pretty much everything was covered. Once again, my experience with this really wasn't that bad. I got on the phone, I spoke with someone, they asked me a few questions, I answered them. It really wasn't a big deal. But again, if anything that you have questions about, please drop that in the comments below. If you got any value from this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. That really does help with the growth of this channel, and I truly appreciate it. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and you have a wonderful day.